Have you ever seen inside of a heart?
Have you ever seen the same stranger twice?
What did it look like?
And how did you know?
Do you remember?
Yes.
Green, the day spilled out over a thin sheet of fog,
And I think that it's always been like this.
filling itself out from behind the stars.
One long gray morning.
And I never seen the light quite so strange.
The sky yawned and tried to call itself purple.
Its fingers stretched out long over the sea.
And in the half light before dawn, I watched the waves crawl along the shore.
Thin streaks of shadow, just lighter than the rest.
I think that tomorrow will be just the same.
All gray, and still some unaccounted for.
Because they're all days, aren't they?
One, and then the rest.
Things which last no longer than themselves.
The same, a million times over.
I pity them.
I envy them.
But are we not like they are?
I saw something flash out above the dark surf.
I took my hand in the other, and I felt that it was still warm.
Finally then, there was just enough light to see.
And I thought it strange that I should be longer than the days.
At dawn, in the tepid green of the tide pools, I caught my own eyes.
It isn't supposed to be like this.
There, I found that I was frightened,
I think they've forgotten me.
because when the moon sets, I will have nothing for it.
Sympathy.
A shame.
In the early afternoon, the day began to turn itself over.
And now the tide pool glared the shallow white of the sky.
The wind followed in its wake, and it was lonely.
A surface of glass with no reflections.
I know because I watched it.
I could hear its stillness.
The clouds smearing themselves across the blue and the waves darkening.
The sea spewing its dull roar.
It grew cold,
The light came in waves now,
and even if this were it, I would be happy.
falling over long stretches of water which pulled themselves apart.
Even in August, the days end.
But still there are things which I can tell myself.
A single shadow on the pale sand.
Like how there are no moments.
The swallows falling across the clouds, all at once, crying.
And how the afternoons are all painted alike.
Their bodies like arrows flying.
But I couldn't bear the sun letting itself down slowly.
Tracing long orange arcs in what was left of the day.
What could I say to it?
I can never tell how much remains.
Nothing that it would know.
And some days I think that there isn't much like this.
But while the day was still bright, I thought I might ask its name.
Somewhere off behind the sea and the sky, a phone rang,
And in response, I thought I heard the sound of thunder.
echoing like a crash of voices.
There. Did you hear it?
But it was just my heart,
There. Again.
and that was yours.
There was something that startled me, but it was just the stars.
In the twilight, they glowed like lovers.
They looked like people.
The clouds clouds in the sea,
They looked like us.
all purple and almost just like before.
In the dark, I could no longer see my skin.
And for the first time, again, I thought it might be dawn.
Almost.
But there are no nights which last only this long.
I hoped that this would not be the last time.
I have only just begun to feel the night air.
Not knowing is just desire.
The opposite of being is being again.
Here are my cells.
Once the days tried to tell me this,
Take them.
but I was a child, and instead I listened to the blood roar in my ears,
The parts of me that I left, I do not want back.
the waves that run in my head and do not stop.
And where they used to be, now there is just a mess of leaves.
They swirl and rush, and in their foam there are pictures that I see.
They stir and are startled, and there are things which they hide.
There was a boy who sat under the last sliver of sky.
There was a girl who watched the moon rise again and again,
Above him the stars threw themselves from the sky.
and never once did she grow tired.
They trembled as they fell, and if he hated them, I couldn't know.
And where there used to be stars, the moon and I made our introductions.
They were so bright we could hide behind them.
We spoke of our souls and the things we cannot see.
There was nothing to see except ourselves.
And then it was night, and it was beautiful.
How did our faces look in the dark?